I'm Britton Trice with Garden District Bookshop here in New Orleans, and I'd like to welcome everybody. We have a great lineup tonight, and we've already got almost 50 people online with us tonight, and I imagine and they're already starting to come back in and get some more people. So we're really excited to welcome and help celebrate the publication of Julie Pennell's book. Great cover, Louisiana Lucky. Julie, y'all did a great job on that cover. And also, Julie is going to be in conversation with Kristy Harvey. You go like Kristy Woodson Harvey, or is it Kristy Harvey?
Either one, but I do write as Kristy Woodson Harvey. Right. So, yeah.
But anyway, Kristy is the author of six earlier books, and she has a new book coming out. When is that new book coming out, Kristy?
April 20th, 2021.
Not too far.
Not too far.
But so you probably already work on the 8th book.
I am every morning. You're absolutely right.
But anyway, we're excited to have you here in conversation with Julie. Kristy is also has a famous blog that she does with her mother on design, and that's been going on for quite a while, hasn't it, Kristy?
Yes, 10 years, which is really crazy. Yeah.
So you were doing that before you started writing, huh?
I was, yes, for years. It was probably around the time I started writing, actually, but 5 years before I got published. Yeah.
So everybody needs to go check out that. And the name of the blog is Design
Chic. CHIC. Yep.
You can tell by the fabulous interior design behind her how fabulous she is.
Yours is not too shabby either, though, Julie.
Yeah, yours looks beautiful also.
So anyway, a couple of points. We have, and I see that somebody else has already written in on the chat room. So if people want to open up, there's a little tab for the chat. If people want to open that up, they can ask questions. And Kristy, you can either keep an eye on that, or later on, at the end, we'll open that up to questions. But
I absolutely will.
You see some pertinent questions in the middle, go ahead. Feel free to go ahead and throw those in. So once again, welcome everyone, and I'm going to turn that over to Kristy now. Kristy, welcome.
Yay! Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here tonight to celebrate Julie and her beautiful, beautiful new book, Louisiana Lucky. It was so fun to get to meet her. I think we've never met in real life, right? Actually, but
in New York.
Oh, in New York. Yes, we did.
Yes. At your book party.
Yes, we did. That was so
But our story goes way back.
Yes. So we actually, when your first book was coming out, Young Wives Club, which I absolutely loved also, we got to chat on the phone for a while, and it was so fun. And I just felt like we were fast friends. So I'm so excited to get to be here tonight to just celebrate you. I absolutely loved this book. I have been raving about it for months. If you've heard me talk about anything in the last 6 months, I've been saying, go pre-order Louisiana Lucky. It's so good. It's one of my favorite books of the year. And it's a great way to, as sad as it is to say, end your summer, because summer's sort of coming to an end. But in addition to being an amazing novelist, Julie is also a journalist, and she's a regular contributor to today.com and has appeared in The Knot, In Style, and Refinery 29. After she graduated from college, she headed to New York to work at 17 magazine, which is so fantastic. And she was born and raised in Louisiana. So this is her second novel, and it is a great one. And I'm so excited to talk all about it tonight, Julie.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I have a few people that I want to shout out to quickly. Yeah. I won't make this a long list. But I do want to thank the Garden District Bookshop for hosting this tonight. I just love that I get to do this with them, especially like the Louisiana theme. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but if you buy a book from them before this event is over tonight, you'll be entered in to win a gift basket from Café du Monde, and all books will be signed with a book plate. So if you haven't already bought Louisiana Lucky, consider supporting this wonderful local store. So thank you to Garden District Bookshop for that. Thank you to my publisher, Emily Bessler, Laura Jones, and the entire Atria team. and to my wonderful editor, Laura Barbia, and the entire Alloy Entertainment team, and to the fabulous Kristy Woodson Harvey for being here. One of my favorite authors. Her new book, Was Like Falling, is one of my top books for 2020. So everyone should also pick up her books. They're absolutely heartwarming and wonderful, and will just put you in a wonderful mood. So,
well, thank you. That is so nice. Well, I do just want to reiterate, if you have any questions for Julie, just drop them in the chat. I'm going to be watching it while she's talking. So Julie, I think to get us started, we have to sort of ask you the obligatory question. Can you tell us a little bit about this wonderful new book and what it's about?
Yeah. So Louisiana Lucky is about three sisters who are all down on their luck, and they have a monthly girls' night where they drink cheap wine, eat greasy food, and play the lottery, where they fantasize about how different their lives would be if they actually won, which I think we've all fantasized about before. And then one night they do win $204 million. So the story follows what each of them do to with the money that they think will make them happier. And the real question is, does money buy happiness? So you'll just, yeah.
You'll have to read to find out.
The gist of it.
But I really loved the exploration of that in this book. I mean, it was absolutely, it's such a fun premise for a book, but there are also such great lessons in this story too. And it's such a story of sisterhood. And I love that. I love these women and their relationships. They're all in really different places in their lives, and their relationships are really distinct, but they have this kind of amazing sort of quirky, fun thing that bonds them together, which is, you know, the hopes of winning the lottery, which is just so cool. And so you sort of mentioned this a little bit, but you said that your sister sort of helped inspire the book a little bit. So can you tell us more about what inspired this story?
Yeah, I wish I could say that I actually had won the lottery and that inspired it. Unfortunately, it has not. But I did buy a lottery ticket with the girls' numbers that they won. So I'm gonna do the drawing tomorrow night with their numbers, and
oh my gosh,
I might become a millionaire. So I'll let you guys know.
I hope so.
But yeah, so in my debut novel, The Young Wives Club, it had a small plot line where one of the main characters won a little bit of money from a scratch off, and that scene was just really fun to write. And so I thought, let's go bigger and let's do it with more money. So yeah, that kind of inspired it, and it was just really fun to write and fantasize the whole time. And some of the feedback that I'm hearing right now from readers who have read early copies is that they spent the whole book fantasizing about what they would do with the money. So I think that it, you know, that was the goal. So
no, it definitely is so resonant. My husband's office, all the staff at the office has this pool that they go in like every single week, and they buy lottery tickets. And I didn't know about it for a long time. And for the first couple of years, you know, he never did it with them. And finally I was like, you have to go in with them, because if they all win the lottery, and you're going to be a dentist with no assistants and no hygienist, so you better go in with them on these lottery tickets. But definitely, someone just commented, leaves chat to buy lottery tickets.
Yes, she's the funniest.
I love it. But no, but that's so, I mean, it really is kind of like the ultimate fantasy. Like there's even, you know, a whole TV show dedicated to the houses that people buy with their lottery winning. So I mean, yeah. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So moving a little bit on to you and off the book just a little bit. Obviously, you know, you are a writer. You have been for a really long time, and so I'm really interested to know, when you were growing up, like, was reading something that was really a big part of your childhood, or was that something that came later for you?
Oh my God, reading was the biggest part of my childhood. My mom would read me like, I don't even know how many stories she would read me, like books a night. It just would go on and on because I would just beg her to keep reading. It's funny, like I was doing when I had my first baby, I was going through some of my old childhood books, and I found one that had like a little homemade library card that I had made. And so like it was checked out for Jill, like my sister Jill, her room. I think I did it. I don't think she actually checked it out. I think I just pretended to check it out to her, and I checked it out to me. So yeah, like libraries and books and, you know, going to the bookstore were a huge part of my life when I was little.
I love it. So this is, oh, sorry.
No, I was just saying still to this day.
Well, I think that's why we connected, because I remember my dad bringing me home this little stamp that, you know, you could like turn the dates, you know, like they did at the library, like at the old school.
Yeah.
Like, and so I would go through and I had little cards in all my books, like, you know, like they were being checked out at the library.
I love it.
It's too funny. Okay, well, since this just relates, I'm kind of checking out the questions that are coming in here. I have some more for you, but this one really relates. Michelle Marcus wants to know who your favorite authors were when you were a child.
I was obsessed with the Babysitter's Club.
Me too.
I'm obsessed with the Netflix series that's right now, which is so
Have
great.
you watched it?
Yes, I watched
Obviously.
the whole thing.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to watch it. I'm so excited. Now that I know that you watched it, I can watch it now too.
It was so good. I like was sitting here one night just like folding laundry, and like Marianne Saves the Day was the episode, and I was just like, this is amazing. Like I have not felt this way in so long. It was just so awesome. So yeah, that was my favorite series when I was growing up. I mean, I love Judy Blume. I love her like child books and her older books. Summer Sisters is one of my favorite books, and I'm so happy that it's being turned into a TV show on Hulu. So yeah.
I was listening to a podcast the other day about books, and they were talking about, they like went back through and read their favorite books from childhood, and they were talking about like what held up, you know, like what was, they were like, oh my gosh, this is so awful, I can't believe I read this. But Babysitter's Club was one of the things they were like, Babysitter's Club totally holds up. Like you could go read it right now and be thoroughly entertained. So I'm very excited to watch the Netflix show.
I really want to read it again. I feel like that would be
fun.
fun.
I know. Like we need to go back and do it. That would be so great. Okay, so in addition to being an author, you are also an amazing journalist. Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, what that transition has been like for you, or a little bit more about your career path?
So yeah, I'll start with my career path. I was 14 years old, and my mom was putting an ad in the local paper for a garage sale, and I have no idea what came over me. I was a shy, nerdy girl, and I walked in with her to the lobby, and I was like, do you guys have any opportunities for teen writers? And they were like, sure, come back, come on, like come intern for us. It was amazing. I still can't believe they said yes, and I'm so grateful for it. So it was there that I pitched a weekly teen column and wrote that for like 7 years. Without them, I would not be here today. The Shreveport Times, just shouting out to anyone who's watching from there. And then after college, I worked at 17. And then currently I'm a freelancer, regular contributor to today.com, which is the Today Show's website. And I love it because I get to write stories every day. They're like lifestyle stories where I talk, write about celebrity houses and style and food. But I always say like it's great instant gratification because an article takes one day, whereas a book like Louisiana Lucky took 3 years to write. So it kind of just like lets me like finish something so that I know that I can, keep going with the book.
That is such a good point, and there is such magic in that, and being able to not only finish it but then see it come out like right away. Because I think a lot of people don't realize that, we turn in a book and then it's like a whole year until the book comes out, so it's definitely not instant gratification at all whatsoever.
Right.
So it does that's really, really great. Okay, and so along those lines, I mean, you have two really small children. You have a toddler, you have a brand new baby, you're working on these books, you're writing these articles. What does a day look like for you? Like, what's your schedule?
My day
Besides crazy.
Well, it starts with trying to get my toddler to get dressed, which takes like an hour. He's very strong-willed. I schlep him to school and with the baby, and then the baby and I come back here, and baby sleeps, eats. I write for the Today Show website. I'll usually take a story a day, probably. And or if I'm working on my like a book or something, that falls in there as well. For when I was writing Louisiana Lucky, I was basically like a full-time stay-at-home mom while also working for the Today Show and writing this book. So I had to write during my son's naps and at night. So the days looked a little crazy, but thankfully he's an amazing sleeper. I have no idea how my new one is going to be. We still haven't had a full night's sleep yet, but
Oh my God.
yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm so thankful for my older son's sleeping. For sure.
Yeah, sleep is amazing. If you can sleep, you can really handle most things, right? Okay, so Georgia Clark wants to know, what's the most enjoyable part of the writing process for you?
Definitely writing the end at the very end. I think there's something so amazing about like finishing a draft. I always say like the most challenging part is the first page where you're just staring at the screen and not knowing what to write. But then at the end, you're like, okay, I did it. And the first draft, Georgia's an amazing author. You should also check out her books, Georgia Clark. But yeah, it starts out really hard with the first draft, and the first draft is always like terrible, as all authors say. But you know that when you get to the very end, it's like, okay, I can go back and edit, and I have something at least.
It's the best feeling in the world to just know that you have that draft, that if the worst thing happens, you could turn it in tomorrow. It's great.
Right.
I mean, it would be bad, but you have a book and it's done. I love this question. Morgan Bowen wants to know, how did you come up with the amount that they win?
So fun fact, it was actually like 80 million or something at the beginning, which sounds like a lot, but I'm really not good at math. So I like asked my tax person, the person who does our taxes, to help me. I don't know if she's here, but hey, Mary. But so I had to find out like how much they actually could take home. And it was just like not that much. So I was like, we need to make the money bigger. We need to go bigger. I want my girls to have a lot of fun. So I just randomly came up with 204 million. But yeah.
I like it. I mean, that's a really strong number. I would be pretty happy with that personally. Okay, Barbara Wojcik says, hello from North Carolina. Oh, I have to say this because it's true. She said, can't wait to read this book, as I've heard Kristy rave about it several times, and the story sounds very interesting. I'm like your number one fan, girl.
Well, it's so funny because we're both doing interviews, and like I'll listen to your interview and you're like, Julie Pennell, Louisiana Lucky, and all of my interviews, they're all, like Kristy Woodson Harvey feels like following. We're like,
it's a mutual admiration society, so that's a good thing. She wants to know, are you currently working on another book? And as you and I have discussed, you just made a human. So that was a pretty large project. So I think you get a little bit of a pass if you're not working on another book right now.
Yeah, so I'm not the type of person that can write a book a year like you. But I mean, I'm in the early development process. So, I feel like this is also like one of the most important parts of it is where you're thinking and making sure that you have the right plot and topic. So yeah, like definitely something else is coming. It's not going to be out next year, but well, maybe I'll be a really fast writer. Who knows?
You never know. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that like thinking and development process is is huge, because if you don't know, it's so nice when you sit down to kind of know where you're going, which leads into Barbara's next question. Are you an outliner or are you more of a pantser? For those of you who don't know, a pantser is someone who just flies by the seat of their pants. They don't have an outline, don't really know what's going to happen in the story. They just kind of have an idea. They dive in. Okay.
Right. So when I have actually tried to write 2 other novels. And I got to like 20,000 words and could not go any further for each because I had no idea where I was going, because I thought like I could just write it and it would be, it would come to me, but it did not. And so for the Young Wives Club, it was the first one that I actually outlined and plotted chapter by chapter every single thing that was going to happen. And it was the first book that I finished and the first book that got published. So for me, yes, outlines are huge.
That's amazing. And I feel like, people always say, I do not outline my books, but you either pay for it on the front end or you pay for it on the back end. I feel like people always say that because, when you go in with an outline, your timeline's usually sort of right. And mine are like all over the place. And I'm like, oh no, like this isn't even the right year. And it was Tuesday and it's tomorrow and it's Saturday. I mean,
that's also really hard, even if you do outline, because like for this book, you'll see it's like a very tight timeline. And I was like, I had like a chart and I was like, everything.
No, you have to keep up with that stuff. It's or have a really, really good copy editor.
Right, exactly, which I did.
Both of those things anyway. Okay, Georgia Clark wants to know, this is such a good question, Georgia. I like this question, especially with your background at 17. She says, have you ever written YA? I think you'd be great at it.
Oh, thank you. So one of the books that I tried to write with my 20,000 words but did not get finished was a YA book. So maybe one day, now that I know how to plot, I will try to figure it out and maybe dive into that one day.
That is awesome. Lisa Howard wants to know if you still have family in Shreveport, because she was raised in Shreveport.
Oh, Shreveport, yay. It's funny. So my mom and my sister both moved to LA, Los Angeles. They decided to move as far away as possible from me. So no, I don't have family in Shreveport, but I have a lot of family in Lafayette area. So my dad lives in Lafayette. My whole extended family lives in Lafayette and New Iberia area. So yeah, I was supposed to go in October to see my dad and to go to the Louisiana Book Festival. And I just don't know if that's going to happen with COVID. So
yeah, that's such a bummer. It's really messing up everything. It's not good. That kind of brings me to my next question too. I'm really interested in your decision to write Southern fiction. Was that something that just kind of came naturally, or was it like a conscious choice that you made?
So I think for the first book, I think it needed to be in Louisiana. The girls, the characters got married really young, and they were kind of based off of people that I knew in Louisiana, and that's just like a thing, and it's it's more normal there than it is elsewhere. So
sure.
That kind of got me into writing about Louisiana, and it was just so fun getting to be transported back there, and also you're supposed to write what you know. And I know Louisiana. Like, I've lived there for the majority of my life. So
do you think that you will stay in that setting, or can you see yourself going to different places?
I think I'll go to different places. I have some ideas for other places. And obviously, I've lived in New York. I'm living in Philly. Who knows, where I'm going to live later. But, and one of those places might end up in one of my books.
That's awesome. Well, and I really do feel like, once you live somewhere, you can sort of write about it, but it is hard to write about places. It's not hard to write about, someone moving to a city for the first time or something if you've never lived there. But if you're trying to write a book as a local. Like you kind of have to be a local a little bit. It's really hard to, kind of pull that off if you're not, I feel like.
Right. You would feel like an imposter, kind of. Like I wouldn't know how to write about North Carolina, I wouldn't know.
Well, I remember my publisher asking me to write a book about Georgia, and I was like, oh, I don't, how do you write about, I don't know how to do that. It's it's very different. Okay, we have a lot of other questions here. Laura wants to know, why did the third cupcake on the book cover fall down?
So I was not the one who designed it. We had an incredible design team that did it, but I think, this is my interpretation, that so each one is three sisters, and the third one is just kind of like representation, like I can't talk right now, representative of the chaos of like everything just like kind of crumbling. Not that I'm giving anything away, but I feel like, you have to know it's some kind of chaos is coming.
Right, exactly. Or you wouldn't have a story to write, right? I absolutely love this cover. I think it's such a good cover, and I'm interested in the process of it. Did you like have an idea for this cover? Was it the first cover that you saw? What was that like?
So the team at Atria, my publisher, actually came up with it. So they came up with the first cover of the Young Wives Club, which is a crumble
so good
cake. And I just remember like the first time I saw it, I was, oh my God, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And then for this one, they just decided, I guess they're going with the same theme of delicious baked goods. And so, yeah, I think that the three cupcakes are the three sisters and, crashing down.
I love this cover, and covers can be really tricky. I mean, I feel like sometimes, you get a cover and you're like, I really don't like that, or that really doesn't fit. And this is it's a very evocative cover, and it goes really well with your last one. I feel like you have a really good like brand going on. People can see your covers and think, oh, it's a Julie Pennell book.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a really good one. All right. Tammy Norton says hello from, is it Ruston, Louisiana?
Oh, hi. Hi, Tammy. We went to school together.
Oh, yay. So she said, what advice would you give someone wanting to write their first novel?
So my advice is always just do it. Just like sit down and like don't make excuses, and just, if you have an idea, I feel like everyone has an idea in them. You have one story at least. And if you really want to write the novel, then you just got to do it. There's no excuses. I mean, it's going to be hard, but like they always say, you cannot edit a blank draft. And so, or you can't edit a blank page. So yeah, you got to get something down. So that's my advice. I hope that helps.
No, it's really good. I mean, it's the most important advice, I think, because if you haven't written the book, you can't submit it. So what was that process like for you? Like after you finished the first draft of your first novel that you were ready to submit, like, did you go look for an agent? Like, what was your story there?
So I was actually just like working with an editor at the time, and then I wrote it, and then we sold it, and it was just like total whirlwind, magical. I was actually living in Oxford. I decided to write the book when my husband got a job in Oxford for a year, and I thought it would be the perfect opportunity to just move with him and like, write in this like magical place. And so, yeah, I wrote the book there, and it was just a fairy tale, the whole thing. Yeah.
That's amazing. And you've been with Emily Bessler for both of your books, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Do you love working with her?
She is literally the best. I couldn't have asked for it. It's so funny. When my job before I wrote this book, I was at a meeting with Emily Bessler, totally unrelated to anything that I was doing. It was for my job at the time. And I remember walking down the hall and the Simon & Schuster office and seeing all of the authors in the frame.
The frames on the wall. Yeah.
And I remember saying, gosh, I would love to be up there. Like that would be amazing. And I had the meeting with Emily to talk about something else. You know, it was totally unrelated to me. And then she was my publisher, and I was just like, whoa, that's amazing.
So cool.
I don't even think she remembers that I was like in that meeting with her back in the day, you know, like she didn't remember
That's
me.
so funny.
But yeah, it's just so funny how things work out.
I remember going down that hall for the first time and like taking a selfie with the picture of Judy Bloom that's on the wall at Simon and Schuster. It makes me really sad that we won't be able to like, or maybe you will be able to, but not be able to go for meetings this year. But you're a little bit closer, so maybe you'll be able to. But it always feels like a big moment, you know, to like walk in the publishing house, and it's like really great. Okay, so Amy. Oh, hi, Amy. Amy wants to know, who are your favorite Southern writers?
Oh, well, Kristy Woodson Harvey, obviously.
I mean, obviously, that just.
Mary Kate Andrews, I am total, like, I just love. I'm reading, Hello Summer is her new book, and I'm loving it because of the newspaper angle.
Yes, me too. I love it so much. It's so good.
Yeah, it's amazing. I recently read Lauren K. Denton's The Hideaway. I really loved that. The Book of Polly by Kathy Heppenstall was really,
I love that one too.
I could go on and on. Yeah, there's just so many amazing Southern. I love this genre that we're all in together.
Yeah. It's a really fun genre to be in. I didn't tell you this earlier, I just sort of forgot, but I loved Hello Summer too, because actually, this is so funny because I don't think we've ever talked about this, but my first foray into the writing world was, I had a column at my local newspaper when I was in high school.
That. Oh my gosh, we're soulmates.
I know, it's so funny. I love that. And those hometown newspapers, like, they really are incredible that they do that and light that spark in people to to be authors. It's really awesome. Jill Dennis says that you should write a book about kids at a magnet school. Little food for thought.
Jill's my friend at Magnet. Hi.
Okay. You sort of mentioned this was a little more Southern related, but if you have anybody to add, you can, but if not, we understand. But Michelle says, who are your favorite authors now, and what books fuel you? I really like that question.
Well, okay, so I mentioned a bunch of books that I do like, so those are good recommendations. Yeah. I'm actually currently reading the Becoming Mrs. Lewis by Patty Callahan Henry, because I was watching, so just sidebar, everyone should check out Kristy. She's with a bunch of my favorite authors, like Mary Kate Andrews and Mary Alice Monroe. So they have a thing called Friends in Fiction on Wednesday nights on Facebook. You should join the group if you're really into reading. It's just an amazing group, and they have a video that they do that I literally feel like I'm friends with all of you. Like, I fangirl every single week.
You are friends with all of us.
So I picked up Patty Callahan Henry's book, Becoming Mrs. Lewis, because of that, and also because it takes place in Oxford. And I haven't finished. I'm like still in the beginning of it, but I have already told like everybody that I know, like, you have got to read this book. It's so beautiful, and I love it. So
I totally agree. That's like one of my favorite books ever. It's such a great book. It really is.
And I'm really excited to read Amy Povel's book, Musical Chairs, which is already out. That's next on my reading list.
And talking about great covers, that is a really, really great cover. It really is. Laura says, you don't give yourself enough credit, Julie. You're so brave and articulate. When you speak from the heart, good things happen. Love you. So Sharon Person says, I don't actually know the answer to this, so maybe you do. So Sharon, this is not a stupid question, since I don't know the answer to it. I probably should. How many authors does one editor work with? Like, do you know how many?
I don't know.
I mean, I will
pretend that I'm the only author.
Just us, right?
I'm like calling them. I don't know.
I don't know. I would think that like
my editor on here, is Laura on here, that she could tell us?
yeah, Laura, are you on here? Because we don't know. I will say I remember I was in New Orleans actually, and my editor came to New Orleans to tell me, well, to come to an event, but to tell me that she had been promoted to vice president of the company. And I was like, well, she's here to tell me that I don't have an editor anymore, because, you know, a lot of times when they move up the food chain, they drop their writers, but she did keep me, thank goodness. And I think she had like 4 or 5. So I would think that an editor would have a lot more than that. I mean, I don't know, 10 or 15 maybe. I don't know. I'm not
They're
really
amazing.
sure.
No, editors are amazing, and yeah, we couldn't do it without them.
No, we could not. And it's like a marriage, I feel like. I mean,
I don't remember, I can't see what she said, but Laura said she's here and we work with, I don't know, I couldn't see it.
oh, she said, we work with lots of wonderful authors, but we promise we have a very special place in our hearts for every single one. That was a very PC answer, Laura. We like that. That was a really, really perfect answer. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so this is not really book related, but I'm just really interested. What are you most looking forward to doing after the whole COVID situation is over?
Okay, so right as I had my baby, my mom was supposed to come in to be with us, but then COVID happened, like literally that week. He was born March 15th. So my mom has yet to meet him. And so that is the first thing that I am planning on doing, is flying her over here so she can meet her little baby.
Oh my gosh, that is terrible.
She hasn't seen him. It's just that the flight is just so, so long. It's like a 6-hour flight, and it's just scary right now. I just like don't want to put anybody in that situation. So we're making a lot of use of FaceTime, so she's seeing him every day. We have conversations with her every day. Oh,
that's so hard though. There's so many things like that you just don't even think about that people are going through that are just really, really hard. Jill wants to know, what celebrities did you interview?
What celebrities have I interviewed? I've interviewed a lot. I think Julia Roberts was one of my favorites. I got to ask her some stuff for 17. Who have I interviewed? Zac Efron. I'm trying to think of like the big ones.
Oh, that's so cool.
I'm like blanking. But like I used to, so at 17, I used to like do all the celebrity interviews. So yeah, I have no idea. Paris Hilton. I'm trying to think like who I have pictures with. Oh my God, I got to meet the New Kids on the Block, which was like,
oh, that's a huge one.
That was probably like one of my like favorite moments.
Oh my gosh.
Andy Samberg and The Lonely Island. I remember meeting them and just like fangirling so hard. So yeah, it's been fun. Like my career.
That sounds like
been very fun.
Such a fun job.
It was awesome.
So do you think that anything from like kind of your former life, or not your former life because you're still doing it, but from like that part of your life will make it its way into your stories?
Maybe one day. I don't know. Never.
You never know. Jill wants to remind you that you interviewed John Mayer.
Oh yes. John Mayer was one of my favorites because I was like, just like a dorky little like college girl, and I was like obsessed with him, and I told the editor, long story, but like I was mentored by the editor-in-chief of Cosmo Girl, and I told her one day, she was like, who are you into? And I was like, John Mayer, and because he was like still up and coming, and then she called me and she was like, okay, you're interviewing John Mayer on the phone. I was like, oh,
that's so cool. Were you nervous?
Yes. It was like, I think he might have been like the first like real celebrity that I interviewed. And it was like in the magazine. Yeah.
I would be super nervous interviewing celebrities, I think. Like even now.
I think then you like, after you do it so much, you realize they're totally just like everybody else. They're just like everybody else.
So it's true. So those celebrities they're just like us. Those are really true. Yeah. Okay. Jill says to ask you what famous Twitter accounts you managed.
I mean, I used to work for 17. And then a bunch of, like just a bunch of other accounts. I've done a lot of like social media in the past. Yeah.
Is it a secret, Julie?
No, it's not a secret.
XOXO?
Yeah, I used to do Gossip Girl. Yeah.
She was gossip.
Oh, I wasn't Gossip Girl.
That's a pretty awesome Twitter account to get to manage. I love that show. Okay, how did you choose the narrator for Louisiana Lucky?
The narrator. The narrator is just a normal. What do you mean? So
I don't know. It was a question.
The narrator is just a person talking. It's not. It just goes. So each chapter is a different alternating character, and so the person just kind of like not really a person. It's just somebody telling a story, and they focus on each of the girls, each chapter. Yeah.
Do you always write in this is in third person, isn't it? This book.
It is. Yes.
Do you always write in third person?
Yes, I believe. Yeah. Young
Okay.
Wives Club was third person. Yeah. I can't remember like what the other two that I think I might have written in first person, like in my throwaway drafts. But who knows?
See, I think that's so funny, like how I just have always been very drawn to first person, and I'm writing for the first time in third person. And I mean, it's not challenging, like that's not the right word, but it's just such a different experience to write in third than to write in first. So I just think it's really interesting how authors choose to do that. But I mean, obviously, I think I wrote my first couple of manuscripts that I didn't really do anything with in third person. And then I wrote in first person, and I was like, oh, this just feels really natural to me. Isn't that funny how that happens?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, this is a really good question. If you could be in any TV show, sitcom, reality show, etc., what would it be?
Oh my God, these are so hard. What would you do?
I mean, I want to be on Gossip Girl.
That could be fun.
Would you want to be a Real Housewife?
I don't watch that.
I haven't watched it in a long time, but I would not be a good Real Housewife because I really hate conflict. So I would be like, oh no, everyone's really nice. It's fine that she called me that. Let's just move on.
Wait, I've got it. I think I want to be on Fixer Upper.
Oh, that's a really good one. So do you?
Games.
I love her too. She's really great. So do you want to like be her co-host, or do you want to have your house on it? You want her to do your house? That's a good one. I like that. That's an excellent answer. I'm going to keep that one just in case I ever get asked that question. Laura says mine is Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Don't judge. I love that.
That's a great one.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to be on that show? That would be really awesome. Okay, and Jill wants to know who would play your. These are hard. This is one that like I would never be able to answer. Who would you want to play your characters in a movie?
Okay, so I haven't asked this, so I am prepared.
You're prepared. Okay, good.
So for Lexi, I would say Houston Sage.
Okay.
For Callie, I would say maybe Shay Mitchell from Pretty Little Liars.
She's a good one.
And then for Hannah, Hilary Duff.
Oh, Hilary Duff, I love her. Do you like the show Younger? Have you watched that?
I love Younger.
That's a TV show I would want to be in.
Yeah.
Do you think it's just because it's about publishing that
Probably,
I like it so much?
but it's amazing, and yes, that's a good one.
It's such a good show.
Yeah.
Which brings me to, if there was a movie about the story of your life, who would you want to play you?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. People have said Carrie Russell would be a good one for me.
That's a good one.
I don't know. That's a hard one.
That's a very hard question. Okay, well, does anybody else have any? Oh, somebody says Anna Kendrick. If anybody else has any more follow-up questions for Julie, let me know right now. I'll put in another plug that buy this book tonight, read it. It's amazing. It's so good. You'll absolutely love it. It will give you hours of enjoyment and leave you smiling, and you'll be telling all your friends to read it and to go buy it and pass it along to them. Oh, somebody said Leighton Meester. She'd be a good one. I love Leighton Meester.
Yeah, me too. Keep it with the Gossip Girl theme.
Right. I mean, we're kind of like, we're on that theme. So, you know, why not? And order it from Garden District Bookshop because they were so nice to host these amazing events and wonderful authors like Julie. Julie, we have to do a toast. So if anybody has a glass out there, let's raise it to Julie and Louisiana Lucky and wishing you all the success that you so deserve. Cheers.
Oh, cheers. Thank you.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Oh, that's so sweet. Okay, wait, we really do have one last one. Sorry, and then we'll wrap it up. But if one of your books would be turned into a production, do you think it would be best as a Hallmark movie, a Lifetime movie, or a streaming service series or movie?
So it's so funny, like a lot of the early, you know, comments of the books have been that this is very Hallmark. It feels very Hallmark. So I don't know if that is, you know, I think that could be fun. I could also see it on Netflix or anywhere. The big screen. Do you hear my baby crying in the background?
So no film rights have been sold yet.
What did you say?
No film rights have been sold yet.
No. Well, I don't know. I mean, you never know, right?
No, you never know. And sometimes it takes a long time too. So that could mean that they've been sold and she's not allowed to tell us yet, which would be great.
Who knows?
And
Right.
don't forget about, tomorrow we'll do the drawing for everybody who has purchased a copy of Julie's book. We'll do the drawing for the Cafe du Monde gift basket, and the lucky winner can make a batch of beignets.
Yeah.
I hope it's me. No, I'm going on to buy mine right now. Can we just order it online from you?
Sure.
From your website?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thanks, Julie. Thanks for having me and for letting me do this fun interview with you.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun. And thank you so much to all of you who tuned in. Like, it was just so good to see your faces. And, you know, I think it's like kind of nice. Obviously, like having an in-person event would be nice, but it's really fun to do it this way as well.
Yeah, well, great. And we'll put up an announcement or post in a day or two. The whole interview will be posted on our YouTube channel. So you can share that link when we'll send it out to you when that link is available.
Awesome. All right.
That is awesome. Well, congratulations again, Julie. Good night.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Nice to meet y'all.
All right. Bye, guys.